The 2010s are one of the most iconic eras in NBA history. It was a decade that changed basketball forever. Super teams were built, dynasties rose and fell, legends cemented their legacies, and the game evolved into something we never could have imagined. Three-pointers turned into a weapon of mass destruction, players dropped career-defining highlights every other Tuesday, and the pressure of the biggest moments created the most iconic moments in NBA history. But when you look back at the entire decade, who really stood above the rest? Who defined the 2010s? Who were the true kings of this era? You'll know the answer soon, so buckle up, because I'm diving deep into the greatest players of one of the most unforgettable decades in NBA history. To kick it off, we've got Chris Paul. CP3 is without a doubt the greatest pure point guard the NBA has ever seen. And the 2010s cemented that fact. Not only was he so good at his position that he was given the nickname Point God, he was also a walking franchise upgrade. Look at what happened to the teams he joined. The Hornets? They went from 18 wins to 56 after drafting him. That's not a glow-up. That's a full-on transformation. He then joined the Clippers. Boom. They go from 32 wins to 57. That's the birth of Lob City right there. Even the Rockets, who were already nice with 55 wins, hit 65 with CP3 and finished first in the league. The Thunder, people thought they were going to tank, but Chris Paul had them playing smart, disciplined basketball, and the win percentage actually went up from 59% to 61%, even in a shortened COVID season. Chris Paul in the 2010s was a masterclass of what the point guard should be. He might not have won a ring, but he spent the entire decade proving he was a top-tier leader, floor general, and one of the smartest players to ever play the game. Not to mention, he made the careers of Blake Griffin, SGA, James Harden, and soon, Wemby. An all-star, defensive menace, and a beast at dishing dimes, CP3 is top 10. Next up is Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk didn't do much in the 2010s, except win the toughest championship in NBA history. This man went through the greatest young core the NBA has ever seen, swept freaking Kobe Bryant, who was the defending champion, and went through prime LeBron and Dwayne Wade in order to win the first and only championship for the Dallas Mavericks. The NBA should have given the man 2 rings for what he achieved. And even though the 2010s were the later end of his career, he still cemented his influence on modern big men. People give Steph the credit for changing the game, but Dirk was the one that showed us big men didn't have to be stuck under the rim. Without him, we wouldn't have sharp-shooting giants like Cat, Kristaps Porzingis, Victor Wembanyama, and like 100 other guys. I'd say put some respect on his name, but let's be real. He's already one of the most respected players in NBA history, and rightfully so. Just like the 8th best player in the 2010s, Dwayne Wade. By the time 2010 rolled around, D. Wade's prime was already starting to end, but for the first half of the decade, Dwayne was still the 2nd best shooting guard in the NBA. And when LeBron took his talents to South Beach, D. Wade played the role to perfection and became the best number 2 guy in modern NBA history. The lobs,
another steal, 3-on-1, James.
The slashing,
Here's Wade, split defender, windmill.
The hustle.
Posey with terrific hustle, Wade picks it up.
His unselfishness helped bring back-to-back championships to Miami. And even though injuries slowed him down in the later part of the decade, D. Wade was still a bucket. Just like number 7, Kobe Bryant. Kobe entered the 2010s already as a 4-time champion, but of course, the Mambas still had more to prove. The 2010 finals against the Boston Celtics was one of the toughest and grittiest battles of his career. Not only did Kobe win against the KG, Paul Pierce, Rondo, Ray Allen C's, he was the finals MVP. And he was on his way to repeating until he faced Dirk, who, like I said, was on a generational run. But even after that setback, Kobe didn't miss a beat. In 2012, he averaged 27.9 points per game, just a 0.1 average shy of the scoring title, proving he was still him. He tore his ACL the next year, and even with the normally career-ending injury, Kobe Bryant was still the best shooting guard up until the moment he retired. And of course, we have to talk about his farewell game. 60 freaking points. Most players don't even drop 60 in their prime, let alone in their final appearance. But Kobe did it in his 20th season, with a surgically repaired Achilles and countless miles on his body. The Black Mamba exemplified Mamba mentality his entire career in the league, and that's why his legacy lives on. And talking of a legacy, number 6 is Russell Westbrook. Brody was the definition of controlled chaos. He treated every possession like it was war and played every game like it was Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Few players matched his pace, and no one played harder. That's what made him special, along with his absolutely insane stats. The man was a walking triple-double. He didn't just scrape by triple-doubles every few games, he owned that statistic. I'm talking 30-point triple-doubles, 20 assist nights, even games with 20 rebounds. And the most unbelievable of all, averaging a triple-double for not 1, not 2, but 4 freaking seasons. Triple-doubles used to be a rare achievement, but Russ made it expected of him. His 2016 to 2017 season, legendary. Westbrook didn't just win MVP, he owned the whole season. He claimed the scoring title, averaged a 30-point triple-double, and shattered Oscar Robertson's long-standing record for most triple-doubles in a single season. And people stay hating on him today. The nickname Beastbrook didn't even do him justice. The man wasn't just an animal, he was a freak of nature. Kind of like the 5th best player from the 2010s, James Harden. The beard was more than just a great scorer, he was offense personified. His ability to score, facilitate, and create space made him a constant threat for every team. And his signature move, the step-back 3, became one of the most unstoppable moves the league has ever seen. As the face of the Houston Rockets, Harden achieved some incredible feats. Not only did he lead the Rockets to their first conference final since 1997, but in the 2017-2018 season, he led them to 65 wins, the best record in franchise history. Add that to his MVP and scoring title, and you have one of the best individual seasons of all time. And as if that wasn't enough, he averaged 35 points over the next 2 seasons and ended the 2010s with the 3rd most points scored in the entire decade. The only knock on Harden? No rings. But when it comes to sheer offensive firepower in the 2010s, the beard was on another level. But on a higher level is a man who doesn't get enough credit, Kawhi Leonard. Listen, Kawhi was never the loudest player in the room, but his game spoke for itself. He started the decade as a quiet role player with good defense, but by the middle of it, he had transformed into a two-way superstar and a certified playoff killer. And by the end of the decade, he became one of the greatest players of all time. Kawhi's decade run was nothing short of spectacular. From locking down LeBron and earning Finals MVP in 2014,
Kawhi Leonard checks in the game as LeBron James is shooting a free throw,
to becoming the first non-center to win multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards, and the first to do it in back-to-back seasons since Dennis Rodman. Then you got him hitting the shot.
Looks at the clock, turns the corner for the win!
And putting the entire Raptors franchise on his back to deliver their first and only NBA championship in 2019. Quiet, efficient, and deadly. Next man up, the 3rd best player from the 2010s, Kevin Durant. When it comes to pure talent, KD might be the best scorer we've ever seen. 7 feet tall with a guard's handle and an unblockable jumper? Bro was a walking cheat code. KD started off the decade winning a scoring title, and then he won it again in 2011 and again in 2012. Okay, he's done. No, wait, he won it again in 2014. KD won the NBA scoring title 4 times, which to this day is still the 3rd highest in NBA history and the most among active players. And as if dominating the scoring charts wasn't enough, he also added an MVP award to his resume, proving he wasn't just a scorer, he was the best player in the league. And then came the Golden State years. Back-to-back titles, back-to-back finals MVPs, pure domination. Whether you love or hate the move, you can't really deny KD's greatness. And if it weren't for injuries, he might have finished even higher on this list. Now, before I get into the top 2 greatest players from the 2010s, I need to spotlight some honorable mentions. Paul George. What made PG-13 such a threat was how complete of a player he was. Not only was he an elite scorer that could go toe-to-toe with the league's best, but his defensive prowess was consistently Defensive Player of the Year level, solidifying him as one of the best two-way players of the 2010s. Also to be considered is Giannis. He started to take over at the end of the decade and became the unstoppable Greek freak we know and love today. If he had peaked 5 years earlier, definitely would be in the top 5. Just like Anthony Davis. AD was a dominant force on both ends and a consistent top 5 player for most of the decade. Only thing holding him back is he lacked team success until 2020. Also to mention is Blake Griffin. Prime Lob City Blake was insane and was headed for greatness. Unfortunately, injuries slowed him down in the latter half of the decade, keeping him from fulfilling his full potential. And last honorable mention, Carmelo Anthony. Melo was one of the best scorers of the decade with a disgusting game, but he just didn't win enough. Now for the top 2 players of the 2010s era. Which 2 guys' teams dominated the NBA Finals for this entire decade? Of course, Steph and LeBron. Nobody, and I mean nobody, had a bigger impact on how basketball is played today than Stephen Wardell Curry. Steph changed the way the entire NBA played basketball. That alone is enough to justify his presence on this list. But of course, there's more. Steph's insane shooting turned the three-pointer into the most dangerous weapon in basketball. He didn't just break records, he obliterated them. 2016 was hands down Steph's best year, even though he lost. Not only did he become the only ever unanimous MVP, he also led the Warriors to the best regular season record in NBA history. And it's not just about the stats. Curry led the Warriors to 3 NBA championships in 4 years and cemented himself as the best shooter the world has ever seen. Champion, MVP, All-Star, Steph. Splash Bro, pure scorer, entertainer, Chef Curry. And he would have been the GOAT of the decade if it wasn't for the next guy. The best player from the 2010s, LeBron James. I mean, who else could it be? LeBron James in the 2010s wasn't a player. He was a phenomenon. And this was the decade where LeBron became the GOAT to a lot of people. 3 MVPs, 3 championships, 3 finals MVPs, 8 finals appearances, and people still think he underperformed. Crazy thing is, the finals are when he delivered some of his biggest moments. In 2016, LeBron pulled off the greatest comeback and the greatest redemption story in NBA history, bringing the first and only championship to Cleveland after leaving 6 years ago. Unlike others on this list that had a peak within the decade, LeBron's peak was the entire decade. This man played at an MVP level every single year of the decade. Every season, every year, he was just that guy. No player was more feared, more talked about, or more consistent. That's why he is the undisputed #1 player of the 2010s.